Hi everybody, Kat here. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're having a great day. Well, today it's all about politics, princes and warlords, and the truth about African parks. Yeah, there's a lot to look at here. Now, just for some history, African Parks manages 22 national parks and protected areas across 12 countries on the continent of Africa. Now, as we know, recently allegations have been raised against park rangers in the Republic of the Congo for egregious assaults against local villagers and local people. Now, amid the allegations, there is a call for Prince Harry to step down from his position as a member of their board of directors. Now, previously, Harry had served as president of the organization for several years. And as I mentioned in a previous video, this isn't the first time that allegations have been made against African Parks organization and its rangers. Now, African Parks was founded by a few rich elitists in 2000. It is an NGO, non-government organization, and its remit is conservation. Now for some context of how we got here. The African continent, this is a little bit of history they didn't tell you in school. The African continent has long been exploited by governments and the elites for its resources and opportunities. From the diamond mining, other exotic elements such as the lithium needed for the batteries now with the EVs and all of that kind of thing. Lots of mining, exploitation of resources by large corporations and governments that it exploits children and the indigenous people. I mean, this has been going on always. And, you know, amidst all of this horror happening, Africa is also, you know, the playground of the elites. You know, safaris and as Andrew would say, straightforward shooting parties. Those kind of blood sport behaviors have always been a part of the ethos of the rich elite and the royals. They've all participated in such things. And indeed, you can find pictures of then Princess Elizabeth in Africa holding a gun over, I think it was a lion. And this happened, on the tour that they were to make to, I think it was New Zealand and Australia at the time of her father's death. They went in his stead because he was too ill. So Princess Elizabeth and Prince Philip were, at that time, Duke of Edinburgh. She didn't make him a prince till much later. And he had to denounce his Greek citizenship and to the throne prince title when they got married. Anyway, that's beside the point. They were on their way to a tour, I think to Australia and New Zealand, and they stopped off for a few days in Africa as a guest of the government there. They stayed at an exclusive lodge, I think it was called Treetops or something like that, where they were in amongst the animals. While they were there, they engaged in a shooting party where the princess participated in. Now, here you go, like the young Gen Zs or whatever the hell the little woke lefties, crazy little people call themselves now, they would object to this. Oh, this is elitism. This is you know, we need reparations. The queen, she kills animals. All the bullshit, you know. Royalists would say, hey, that was, you know, the rhythm of the times. They were in another country, and when the royal family visits another country, they honor their traditions, usually with some kind of a, you know, could be a meal or a ceremony, or we've all seen pictures of now King Charles and William and Kate and other members of the royal family on royal tours to other countries, dancing a local dance, or, you know, having some kind of a cape or a headdress adorned, that kind of it. They would say, well, she was just engaging in a local custom at the time to honor the local that had invited her. You know, there could be that. And then, you know, there's people like me that say, you know, this kind of behavior by the elites and the royals has always gone on. It continues to go on. And they honestly believe that they have every right to engage in blood sport. They have every right to use and abuse the land and the animals and the people for their own end, because they feel, you know, they've got a right to it, where us, the little people, don't. And I mean, that's ruled the world all along. Now, the African Parks Organization has taken over and controls 14.8 million hectares, or 57,143 square miles of land. And like I just mentioned, the elites and the rich and the royals, members of other non-com such as the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, these organizations' aim is to control and restrict access to people like you and me to land, to resources available on that land, to our basic rights and freedoms. This is what it's all about. It's just another control grid move, man. And these the conservation, you know, the hidden truth is it's all about control. It's not about saving the world. That's just how they convince us and how they guilt us and how they brainwash us into, you know, you've got to save the world, electric cars, you got to stop using, just stop oil, you know, eat bug protein, don't eat meat, it's bad, for, you know, for the earth, and all of this stuff is just a terribly elaborate scheme that's been going on for a very, very hundreds of years, long time, for the elites to get more and more control of you and me. And that's all that it's about. That is all that it's about. And now, because Africa as a continent has always been used by governments, especially Western governments, by their own end for, you know, exploitation of resources, having land to themselves, animals, those kind of things. The local governments and the non-government organizations and the large corporations like the mining industry and things like that, they all work together with the federal governments of these countries, whom employ the use of local warlords to keep things stabilized, I guess. Well, they're never really stable, but just keep going the way, you know, doing their bidding. And you might say, well, geez, that sounds like a racist statement to me. It's not. It's the truth. That level of corruption has always been present in Africa. And I mean, I do have some incidental true knowledge of this because I had a cousin who spent many years living in Africa, Nairobi principally. And, you know, she talked about things that were going on. Now, you know, that's just the way things work over there. So the fact that you've got African parks using what boils down to is a militia, park wardens, to do their bidding. You see, they don't care about the locals. They don't care about the villagers. They care about their interests, and the locals be damned. And they've been treated absolutely atrociously, and it's an absolute sin. It's an absolute sin. So but what are you going to say? That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's doing. So the fact that African Park is engaged in this kind of thing is really not surprising. The fact that Harry's involved in a so-called conservation effort is not surprising, given his father and his grandfather's history with the World Wildlife Fund and the World Economic Forum now with Charles. But they're knee-deep in it. They're the elites. They're the royals. The royal, you know, African parks may control 57,000 square miles of land. The royal family, man. The Commonwealth, 57 countries. Countries where Charles is head of state, I think there's 17. The royal family has a presence not just in Africa, it's got a presence on every continent of the world. This is what I've been talking about all along, the royals, the World Economic Forum, things like African Park. All these elites are moving kind of in goose step. They're all working towards total control, but now we're getting at a pinch point where you're getting near the top, where these groups of elitists that have all been working together towards one common goal, which is, you know, one world government control of everybody. Now they're realizing, but who's going to be at the top at the top? Is it going to be Klaus Schwab and his crew at the World Economic Forum? Is it going to be Bill Gates and the World Health Organization? Is it going to be King Charles and the monarchy? Who's gonna end up top dog? So we're engaged in a hell of a game of Risk at the moment. If you've ever played that game where the top ones, the guys that are left, they're all fighting for control of each other. And that's why it's getting really interesting. And that's why I think Charles is, you know, doesn't have a whole lot of time left. It's all getting very interesting. But this is how these guys operate. Doesn't matter if you're royal. Doesn't matter if you're Klaus Schwab, doesn't matter if you're Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, or the head of African Parks, Prince Harry. They're all corrupt because they don't care, because that's the way they roll. It's all about them. They're in a special little club, and you and I will never be members. And that's it. I'd love to hear what you think about all this. Send me a comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and we'll see you in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.